Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings, fabulous people. Thank you all so much for being here. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. Whoever you may be, wherever you are, thank you for coming. I don't think I say it often enough. This video is going to be all about forgiveness and what has happened with this mysterious meeting that has happened between, let me get these names now. I wrote it all down on a piece of paper. I anchored it down on the back deck with some spanner. Benji took the spanner up and a piece of paper flew away, so I had to double check it all. Right, this secret meeting that took place at the Royal Overseas League between Tobin Andre, Meredith Maines and Liam Maguire. Right, I have an awful lot to say about this. Let's get stuck in, shall we? Because I, for one, back the Prince of Wales and our future king 100%, whatever he may decide. And of course we don't know. I'm speaking loudly because there's a slight breeze, but it is boiling hot here, guys, so forgive me. But it comes and goes. I've noticed because I watch it on the playback with you guys and I cringe sometimes and think, oh good grief, that blooming wind. I found my cushion. I know you were all hanging on the edge of your seat, literally. Last night I put the rubbish out and I thought, I'll just have a look up and down the fingers, which is what they called it. And it was wedged between my neighbour's boat and his finger. And no, I haven't secured them down yet, but that's a priority today. Right, let's get back to the subject at hand. None of us know for a fact what was or was not said at that meeting last week between the King's communication guy, Meredith Maines, the Montecito communications woman, or Liam Maguire, who apparently is Prince Harry's UK PR. Don't know why he needs a UK PR. Give it up, Windsor. I don't think that one's going to work or wash. Why do you need a UK PR? Invictus are going to have games in the UK like one time in a couple of years. Why do you need UK PR? You moving back to the UK? Thought you said you were never going back to the UK because your kids are unsafe, because your family's evil, because your dad, the king, wouldn't step in. Yeah? So why do you need UK PR? Not that the guy looked particularly interested. He looked to me like he'd just been dragged out of bed. Not that I've got anything to talk about, but if I'm representing someone, a member of the British royal family, which Harry sort of, so to speak, kind of is, I would brush my hair and present myself. But this guy's slouched in the chair like, oh my God, I've got the hangover from hell. That's how he appeared to me. Now I've got lots and lots and lots of stuff to do. And what I want to do is go into who these characters are and paint the scene of where exactly this happened. So I've done some Google map videos, which I'm going to accompany with this so that you guys can see the proximity. I'm sure you already realise, but you can see how close this all is to St James's Palace and Clarence House, which Clarence House is part of St James's Palace. It's all very, very close. The King and Queen live at Clarence House. Clarence House, of course, itself is not far from the working building Buckingham Palace. But let's leave Buckingham Palace out of this for a minute, because it's mostly a working building and no one officially lives there at the moment. So we're talking Clarence House. St James's Palace, of course, is the most senior palace in the UK, built by Henry VIII. I think the Whitehall one burnt down, didn't it? And Buckingham Palace is a relatively modern building. I think it was might have been started by George III, but it was definitely in the makings with Prinny, George IV. And I'm not sure that he actually lived to see it finished. And then his brother William took over, and then of course Queen Victoria after that. So it's a relatively new thing, whereas St James's Palace is a Tudor palace. Right, well, let's talk about this, shall we? Let's hypothesize about what may or may not, or how it appears to be. Well, let's start with Tobin, the King's communication guy. Who is Tobin Andre? I looked him up on LinkedIn. You too can do this. He's a newspaper guy, basically. He's worked for the current King and Queen for nearly 3 years. He worked for the king when he was the Prince of Wales. But his history, you know, Sir Christopher Gite, you know, I've mentioned him before. His history is MI6. I mean, this guy is not just James Bond. He's 007 on steroids. He's M, really. No, this fella, Tobin Andre, has worked as an editor or assistant editor or fashion editor for various publications, including the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday, and the Daily Express. That's basically his background. So they have this meeting, and it's the King's communication guy, and it's Harry's. Just forget Meghan for a minute, because the newspapers are quoting that Harry has sworn blind. He didn't do any leaking. Because how did they know? How did anybody know? How did the paps know? There were paps apparently there. When these people arrived at I'll call it ROSL for short. When they arrived at the club, according to the Telegraph, there was paparazzi. Now there's a difference between paps and journalists. Journalists, yeah, they'll turn up with a photographer, etc. A pap is an independent photographer who'll go out, get snaps of famous people and sell them to the highest bidder. That is what Princess Diana had a problem with. Princess Diana didn't have a problem with the press. She had a problem with the paparazzi. So the paps were there. This is supposedly, as the newspapers are billing it, I know you're all going to groan when you hear this, an olive branch. The paving the way to forgiveness to Harry. No, I don't think so. It may be that the king feels that Harry is his flesh and blood and his son, and that he wants some sort of communication, at least opening up some communication, because quite often if you want to control a situation or you want to damage limit, then the best way to do it is to open a line of communication. Communication really is the secret of success. This is going to be a bit of a long one because this one's really close to my heart, particularly at the moment. I so relate to the Prince of Wales on this. Of course, the wonderful Wales family, looking utterly gorgeous and sensational and regal, were at Wimbledon, apparently. You know, not while this meeting took place, but while this story broke and the internet sort of went crazy. Well, I don't even know where to begin with this one. Seems to me there's an awful lot of voices out there saying there should be forgiveness for Harry and bring him back into the fold. No, why? Why? Do they forget Omid Scoby's endgame, accusing the King and the Princess of Wales of being racist while they're both suffering cancer? In my view, that is attacking people suffering with cancer. And as you know, how does anyone else out there feel if you either have cancer or a loved one has cancer and you have some twat come at you, attacking you? Are you gonna get over that? Because I'm not, ever. I'm never gonna forgive it. And I dare say the Prince of Wales is never gonna forgive it. If the King wants to forgive it, that's his business. The important one for me is William. So they have this meeting. And I mean, there must have been some sort of an agreement to it. I have to say, Tobin looked rather uncomfortable and aware that there were photographers. Well, he would have been if he turned up and there'd been paps outside. Or did he turn up outside? Because for many years, there have been rumours from people who are friends of the royal family. It's been a consistent thing that there is a tunnel that runs from St James's Palace to a private members club called Duke's, which oddly enough is not that far from the ROSL. So did Tobin actually walk in the front door and get papped? I'm not sure. I don't know if the Telegraph are accurate about that one. The Telegraph, I don't think it's so much that they're printing on behalf of Harry and Meghan. I detect a little jealousy from them that it was the Mail group that got the scoop. because the Telegraph question, how did they know the venue, the time, and who was going to be there, which are all three excellent questions. Now, could it have been Harry who leaked it? I don't even think Dimwit is stupid enough to have leaked this meeting. Definitely not. Could it have been Tobin having a history of newspapers? I don't think so, because he doesn't work for the newspapers now. That's his history. And by the way, he's an excellent choice as a communications guy, because he will understand not only how the British press work, but these are royalist newspapers. Mail on Sunday, Daily Express, they support the monarchy. So he will also have an insight, and he will have dealt with people from the Telegraph and other newspapers that are anti-monarchy, such as The Guardian, The Independent. So he will have a really good feel reading between the lines. He's an excellent choice for a communications guy for the king. I will say that to begin with. So no, I don't think it'd be him. No. Would it be this, what's this guy's name again? I don't think it would be Meredith Maines. I mean, they say, I just happened to be in London. I just flew over from Los Angeles. I just happened to be there anyway. And then I just went into this private members club where you got to be a member to drink, I think. I just happened to wander in there and, oh, blow me, I met a guy and he's called Tobin. You'll never guess who he works for. No, I don't think it was her. Liam Maguire, the UK PR guy, could barely keep his eyes open. No, I don't think it's him. Oh, Liam, he's been involved with Invictus and what's that other charity that want nothing to do with Windsor anymore? Centre Barley. He's been involved with things like that. Well, he's done a marvellous job, hasn't he? He really smoothed over that whole Centre Barley thing. Nothing bad happened there at all. No one called Dr. Sophie turned up on TV calling Harry and Meghan a bully. No, he's done a brilliant job, UK PR man. Honestly, this is just my personal opinion. He looks more like a drinking buddy of Windsor. I can well imagine it. This place, ROSL, also has rooms. People can stay there. How does anybody know there wasn't a particular guest staying there already? Because these people stayed on the terrace for drinks for like 5 minutes, and then they went inside to one of their, what I would assume had been rented as a private function room for the day. There are various ones. There's a Mount Batton room, there's the Wrench room. I've been through them all. Now, this is a grade 1 listed building, which means you just can't change stuff on it easily. Ask Lady C. Castle Goring is grade 1. I think Buckingham Palace is grade 2. You know, that the more numbers, the easier it is, the more relaxed the rules are. But grade 1s, I mean, you can't fart in the building without asking permission. And then they want you to use, you know, ye old skilled workers to do a job which, you know, makes the cost exorbitant and stuff like that. And you've got to argue your case. It's a bit like asking for planning consent every time you want to change the drapes. Well, this is a grade 1 listed building, and you'll see the railings on the balcony. There's like a chrome one. Well, I had a look on the actual ROSL's website, and their photographs, it's very difficult to see which private room on the first floor this might have been. So I went on TripAdvisor and I found some people, obviously guests, members who've been there, it's got a TripAdvisor page. Yes, it's got a TripAdvisor page, guys. I wonder if any sugars will be dissing it, having a go at it soon, probably. There is a photograph which I will put up of an English tea that someone's obviously had, and it's a similar railing, and it's on the balcony, it's overlooking the garden. So they went into one of the rooms. I dare say it would have been a room that was booked out so that other members couldn't have been present to listen to the conversation. It could have been the Mount Batton room. Can't remember. It's got a full room. It's not called Mount Batton Windsor, it's the Mount Batton something room. Could have been that one, because when royals want to have summits or treaties or peace talks or war talks, they are usually quite strategic about where they choose to do it, and they like a bit of irony. So it could well have been that. I don't know. I've never been in there because I'm not So they meet up, and it's been billed by insiders who are presumably the people who called the paparazzi. as, oh, it was just a casual drinks, just beginning opening communication, ready for some peace in the future. Oh, here comes the wind. It does feel lovely though. I went all this morning, Benji, bless him, he took me all the way over to Balmonis to look for a paddle board. Oh, they were awful, very expensive for a start, awful, not suitable at all for what I need for my... Anyway, there'd been I think an accident or something. We got stuck in traffic for hours. Oh, it was an unmitigated disaster, poor Benji. Anyway, so I think I'm going to bite the bullet, just buy this electric surfboard thing. They're not cheap, but I'm going to save up for that one. Anyway, I just want to get out on the sea and get some breeze. I know what August is going to be like. Anyway, so yes, here we are at the ROSL. I don't think any of the people present would have been the leakers. I don't think the King's Department would have been the leakers. The only type of person who would leak this type of information would be someone who wants to scupper any suggestion of any truce or forgiveness of Harry and Meghan. Who do you think that might be? And I'm 100% behind him if it was. I'd have done exactly the same thing. Let's go into a hypothetical world for a minute, and I don't want to do the Monarch a disservice, because let's say the Monarch said to his communications guy, okay, go meet them, go find out what they want. Perhaps there are things we don't know about. Perhaps Harry really has, had one OD too many. Perhaps Harry is skint. Perhaps the King, the Monarch, or the monarchy, as a system, has got wind of some pretty bloody awful stuff going on, that they know there'll be a feeding frenzy of the headlines and it will damage the monarchy. Perhaps it's that. So let's cut the King some slack. Let's not think it's going to be like, oh, when he married Camilla, for example, he swore blind she would only ever be princess consort, but then when the time came, let's not rake all that up. But I'm just putting that to one side to bear in mind that this type of thing has happened in the past, where it's, no, I promise this is not going to happen, and then this happens. Whether me personally, she's married to the King, she's the Queen. It's quite straightforward. But I remember at the time thinking, well, that just isn't going to be the case. So why say that? Be straight, be honest. So to do justice to those that are fearful of what the King may agree to do justice to those citizens of the Commonwealth or British subjects, I have to speak up for them and say they are justified in their fear that the King in the past, when he was the Prince of Wales, has said one thing and done another. I say that for what it is worth. And of course, there's been a collective gasp of horror at the very thought of Windsor coming back. Now, he could come back as a private citizen and never be seen again. I've mentioned this before. William may even decide to control the situation, to pop him in a little cottage in the Cotswolds, etc., etc. Well, if that was the case, then that could be done privately and nobody would ever know about it. There's no need for leaks. Who would have leaked this? This is not a member of staff at the ROSL. Because, according to the Telegraph, the Paps were outside waiting for them. They knew before. Unless the room had been booked and someone who works at the ROSL had said, oh, blooming heck, you'll never guess who's booked it. But then they would book in a pseudonym, wouldn't they? They wouldn't say, well, it's going to be a big royal meeting representing the King and the Duke of Sausages, would they? So, no, I'm not thinking staff leak, no. I'm not even thinking palace leak. I would have thought that this thing would have been kept on a very low down with a need-to-know basis. And I would imagine that Prince William would have been approached. I mean, one royal commentator, I forget which one, said there's no way this meeting would have taken place without Prince William's approval. I don't agree. I don't think William would approve for a second of this type of thing. He doesn't want to know, it's clear. And I am right there with him, as I've already said. He's got the love of his life facing cancer, while that little bitch Omid Scoby is writing a book calling her a racist. And Harry and Meghan didn't stand up once. Where was that? Crickets, wasn't it? They never stood up once when Endgame came out and said, statement from the House of Sussex, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves today. This is outrageous. There is no suggestion that as she was then the Duchess of Cambridge would, or the Prince of Wales. I think he was he king then? Ah, good gracious, I think he might even, yes, I think he was the king then. Or she may have been the Princess of Wales. But there was no statement that came out from Harry and Meghan vehemently condemning Omid Scobby and saying there is never no suggestion, there has never been any suggestion. No, it was crickets, wasn't it? Now, I'm not saying that you can hold people responsible acts by omission. You know, people speak up, they don't speak up. People are friends with people who, you know, may or may not say things you approve or don't approve of. That's one thing. But this is their pet. He's not just advertised as their pet. It's official. It's in court documents in the Court of Appeal. Omid Scobby was their mouthpiece. Harry sent an email. We must be able to deny it at a later date, our collaboration with Omid Scobby. I mean, he is officially their pet. There was no condemnation then. So it is my belief that it would have been the Prince of Wales office who leaked this ridiculous meeting. And good. I'm glad. Now, there's a time and a place for forgiveness. I've spoken of it before. It's important to forgive for one's own self, so you don't hurt yourself. But take it from me, and any of you guys out there who suffered this, who've had experience of a loved one suffering cancer, is bad enough. But then to be attacked on top of that, and no less than by his own flesh and blood, disgraceful. No, 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 and never would be my vote. Harry, of course, will be livid that it's been leaked. I dare say Meghan herself will be as livid that it has been leaked. Well done, William. You hamstringed them. Because a meeting of that nature would suggest that is not a quiet little Cotswolds cottage and an allowance of, say, £100,000 a month, £10,000 a month, or whatever it costs to keep Harry in the style in which he has become accustomed to, shall we say. No, never. You see, over the last 10 years or so, I've noticed something. On social media generally, human behaviour appears to have been anything goes. You can say what you bloody well like, and there will never ever be a consequence to it, ever. Well, things are changing now. And now these people who've said all those shitty things, now they're, never mind, I didn't say that. Well, I did, but let's just not talk about it. Let's forget about it. Let's do a mechanism. No. It doesn't work like that. Anyone out there who's had a loved one going through something and then you've been attacked on top of it, and people come at you and say, oh, for the sake of peace of everyone around. No, fuck off. It goes beyond that. It's not a popularity contest. And I dare say it won't be for the Prince of Wales. He will be king no matter what. And the monarchy will survive no matter what. There are times with the monarchy, there are times with all our private lives when enough is enough. And there are certain behaviour and certain actions, if they are ever forgiven at all, it'll take at least 10 years. Certainly does with me. The biggies in my life, I have forgiven people, but it has taken me a good decade to get over it. So this bookend game goes out, and some Dutch translator names the Princess of Wales and the King, and all that is supposed to be forgotten. Let's put all the other stuff aside. Oprah, Spare. Let's put all that stuff aside. Oh, it was Catherine and William's fault that Harry dressed as a Nazi. Yeah, remember that one? Oh, that was lovely, wasn't it? That ties in with Catherine being a racist, the King being a racist. I suppose William's a racist. I think I've got a photograph of the racist king, the late racist monarch shaking hands with a man of colour. I think I've got that from many, many, many years ago. The racist royal family. No, No. He didn't have to fly over to his father. He could have released a statement when he found out he had cancer. He doesn't have to reach out to the Princess of Wales. He could have made public statements as and when. He could have condemned Christopher Boozy for a start. But oh no, he can't do that because I think Boozy might get the knock and spill a few beans. Or maybe Omid would do that as well and spill a few beans. No. And I find myself in the same position. I find myself with people saying, you must forgive. I will never forgive that sugar troll. Never. For making a cartoon of my dead husband. And suggesting that I would do oral sex with Trevor Coult next to my husband's grave. That will never be forgiven. Never. And I dare say the Prince of Wales feels exactly the same about his wife. It's one of those stingers that does not go away and never will. There may come a time one day when I'll say, okay, yeah, don't matter, I'll move on. But this is not one of them. And I dare say this is not one of them for the future king. He not only has to think about his wife, his children, he has to think about the future of the monarchy. What destruction do you think Harry and Meghan would do? Oh, they come creep back. I mean, even if they're split up, which I think they are, soon as Harry's back in the fold on that balcony, she'll come wriggling along on her belly. You see if I'm wrong. And the only way to stop it is he never goes on that balcony again. He never represents again. If he were to be left with a 10 grand allowance a month to shove up his nose or whatever other orifice, and he lived in a little cottage that isn't good enough for the fisherman's wife, she won't come anywhere near. She'll be on the sniff for something else, won't she? That's the only way to guarantee it. It is one thing to pop him in a cottage for his own good, away from public sight. It is quite another to publicly invite him back into the fold, to collect information for future books and movies, to do further damage, to make further allegations. There are new generations all the time that don't follow the monarchy. It's something people, as far as I can see, seem to learn about as they get older. That's how it's been with me. When I was little, I couldn't understand why the Queen didn't wear a crown everywhere she went. She used to wear, those hats. And my mum and dad laughed and they said, well, they just don't. And I said, well, they should. She's a queen. She should wear a crown. You don't understand as much when you're younger. There will be these new generations. What merry Helen muck can Harry and Meghan cause and damage can they cause to the now Wales family? Well, a bloody lot if he's allowed back in. If he's potless, and so is she, and she can't bag a new billionaire, and everything's gone tits up for them, bad bloody luck, I say. Suck it up. We want to be financially independent. We want to get away from that racist royal institution. We want to run away from security, free security, palaces, castles, Queen's Guards, police, MI6, MI5, IPP. We want to run away. We want our independence. And all their sugars going, oh, you Brits are just mad because they don't want to know your monarchy. Well, they sure as hell seem to want to creep their way back in now, don't they? It's what people invariably do, isn't it? When they're on the shitty end of a stick and they realise that they did a bad thing, whoa, and I'm now suffering consequences, losing money over it, can't cope with it, then they're sorry about it. But are they really sorry about it? Do you think Harry and Meghan would have been doing this if it had taken off and they were billionaires? Do you think any of this would be happening? I don't think so. Do any of you think that Meghan would have married Harry if he'd been a bin man or worked in McDonald's? Oh, I don't think. Oh, I never heard of Prince Harry before. I just knew him as Harry. I thought he was a bin man. I was so shocked when I found out he was Princess Diana's son in the royal family. I had to give up everything to become royal. No, I'm with the Prince of Wales and future king. Never. What Harry could start off by doing is denouncing the Sussex squad, Christopher Boozy and Omid Scoby. He could make an official statement that he is disgusted at their behaviour. It still wouldn't be enough to let him in, but that's where it starts. A grovelling apology to his family. And even then, no balcony. Never. Well, that's what I think. And that's where I stand, personally, with my own circumstances, and with the Prince of Wales, future king, where he stands, if indeed that is how he feels. I wouldn't blame him one jot. As far as I'm concerned, people who attack anybody with any kind of a serious terminal illness, any kind, you're dog shit and you deserve everything you get. Suck it up. Enjoy it. Savour every moment. Savour every flavour, Harry. You and your little sugar cohorts are disgusting. Utterly disgusting. Time to grow up, middle-aged bald man. Well, that's probably quite enough from me. And my battery's dying. Thank you all very much for listening. And once again, thank you guys all for your support, your kindness. I personally would have gone bloody mental if it hadn't been for you guys. And that's how I know how it's just a fraction how Prince William, Princess Catherine and their children feel when they see your support online. Thank you very much for listening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may your God go with you.